We have to be more aware of our energy, protecting our energy, and also what energy we're giving off to the world and to people. Because let me tell you, no one deserves to receive negative energy when they are supposed to having, they're going out to have a good time.
Of course.
So if I don't feel well, if you see me out, it's because I'm in a good mood.
Yeah. So we are back now with Mirtha Michelle. Now, Mirtha, thank you so much for being here on this episode. Now, we like to start the show with a little thing called 2 roses and a thorn. Basically, 2 highs and a low from your last week. So what would be your 2 roses and a thorn?
I was telling you that I think it's a little difficult because I feel that I don't think of life that way, but the one low would be that I realized I had a stalker, but this has happened to me before, but this was scary because this person was sending things to my home, and my address is not public information, so I was extremely scared and afraid because...
How long has it been happening for?
Well, it was just, I started receiving items for a couple of weeks already. It's every week he would send something. And I tried to look up his name, could not find any information. I was contemplating maybe I should just place a restraining order with this name I have, the high would be is that I found out who the person was, and how he had my address. So I recently moved a few months ago, and I hired someone off of a website, off of an app, sort of Uber for
moving.
Yes, not just moving. They can help with tasks around the house.
Oh, I know what app you're talking about. Yes.
So this person had come into my home to mount my TVs and my paintings and curtains, and I was very nice to him, just how I am nice to everyone, and maybe he mistook my niceness. But anyhow, he apparently tried to set up an appointment via the app again, and I found that confusing. So I looked at the app, and there it was. That was him.
Wow.
So yeah, that's one high and one low, because a high because I finally found out, and I'm able to take action on it. Then another high would be, I had one of my best friends visiting me this past week, and I love spending time with her. I love traveling with her. So it was really nice for her to come visit me and have some nice girl time.
Good. That's amazing.
Friendship is important.
Yes, very much so. And I know who you're talking about, and you guys travel the world and make it look fabulous.
Oh, she's great.
So you guys were just on, where was it, Morocco?
Yeah, we went for my friend's birthday. We went to Morocco. It was my first time visiting Marrakesh, and it was her second time. We had an amazing time. It was just 2 girls on an adventure, and sometimes I travel alone. I'm very big on travel. I think that travel inspires me, inspires my work, my writing, just inspires my being.
Yeah.
Meeting different people, different cultures, knowing how other people live makes me even more grateful for the life I do have. And so travel is part of my life, and we had a wonderful trip. I recommend for people to visit Morocco. I cannot wait to go back and explore other cities. It was really amazing.
Now, let's take it from the beginning for those that don't know you. So Mirtha Michelle, at the age of 6, wrote her first poem.
Yeah.
Is that where everything started from you? Like, where were you born? Where were you raised? How was that dynamic that took you to poetry at the age of 6?
So I was born in Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And at 5 years old, my family moved to Miami. I consider myself extremely Dominican, and thankfully my parents, they take all the credit because they they made sure to send me back to Dominican every summer. So I was able to not only practice my Spanish, but I was able to maintain a close relationship with my family there. And so yeah, I love Dominican Republic. I'm like the ambassador for Dominican. But yeah, so we moved to Miami. I think art, like anything that we're drawn to, I knew that I wanted to be an artist since I was a kid. Whether it was different mediums, I used to walk around with my watercolors, and I just wanted to paint all the time. I think children know who they are and what they're drawn to. It's your soul. Your soul has lived, timeless lives, and in my opinion, we come here to Earth with a knowing. But sometimes, unfortunately, fears take control of...
Creates blockages.
Yes. But thankfully, I grew up with parents that allowed me to be me, and they are artists as well. Artists that maybe never pursued their art in terms of careers, because they went more safe routes, and but they were extremely supportive with everything that I ever wanted to do. But yeah, at 6 years old, I wrote my first poem, and I was that kid. I always wrote in a diary. I had a diary with the lock and key, and I learned how to read and write at 4. In Dominican Republic, if you are blessed to have an early education, most likely you're a little bit more ahead than the schooling here in the States. And so when I arrived here, I was already well-read and, and advanced, yeah, for my age. And yeah, I just always loved writing and reading, and I wrote my first poem at 6, and at 7 years old, I knew one day I would publish a book. My father is a pretty smart man, knowledgeable man, and he was planting a tree in our backyard, and I was helping him, and he was teaching me. I always wanted to learn how to do things, and I was an inquisitive child, and he taught me this Hebrew proverb that said that for a man to receive his own measure of immortality, he has to do 3 things in life. One is to plant a tree, another is to write a book, and another is to have a child. Because all of those things, they're seeds, right? That we leave behind. Yeah. And in that moment, I told him, well, Daddy, I'm planting a tree with you now. I'm going to write a book one day, and I'll have a child. I just wanted to fulfill that Hebrew proverb. And here I am. I've done two of the 3. I still haven't had a child, but I'm working on it.
Because you're creative as a whole. You've done acting. You've done different realms of creativity. So did it switch for a while, or did you continue on from the age of 6 to high school? Let's jump into high school. And were you still writing then?
In high school, I was constantly writing. I still have those journals. And it's funny because I have published 1 or 2 of those poems in my books now. Yes. I was in the TV department, and I used to host a kids show on the ABC affiliate in Miami. So I was on TV every Saturday. So that was like part of my creativity, hosting. And then around that time, I also got the acting bug. And I was just like, I want to do it all. I just want to express myself. And I think the thing is that a lot of times we are told that we can only do one thing. And it's so amazing to see that now this generation gets to do it all and not be judged for it.
Yeah.
I remember when I first moved to LA, I was pursuing acting, but I always knew I'm going to write as well. And one day I want to direct. I want to do it all. And I was constantly told by so many people in the industry back then, we're talking 15 years ago, or even more. And I was constantly told, well, you have to become successful at one thing and then you can move on to the next. And for a few years, I was doing that. And it didn't feel authentic for me because I felt that I wasn't being who I was, at least openly. So I was always writing, but it's like no one knew that I was a poet.
Right, and I think because you were a full-on creative, like being able to relate to that statement as well is, if I focus on only one form of creativity only, I burn out. I need to be able to tap into other forms of creativity to be able to be creative in other aspects. It doesn't make sense to the analytical person, but it makes sense to me.
Yes.
Because creativity comes from the heart. It comes from passion.
It's
so if
soul.
I focus everything on one thing, I'm draining everything and I can't think straight. So it's like you were focusing on acting, I'm guessing, right? Which is what made you move to LA?
Yes.
And then what made you be like, I need to pull back out this book, this pen, this paper, and I actually need to give this a shot again?
Have you ever heard of that quote? Turn your pain into art.
So was it a breakup?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
those darn men.
Yeah. So the men inspired me to put it out there. Actually, it's more than that. I've always been with creative men. I've tried to go for
The doctor, lawyer.
Yes, I've tried, but it's just something in me does not like that.
Yeah,
And
I can relate.
And I am just drawn to creative men, perhaps because I am drawn to creative people in general. I'm drawn to passionate people.
Yeah.
I say that I'm drawn to people that when they speak about the things they love, you could see the sparkle in their eye. That you could hear the passion in their voice. That is who I am. I am drawn to that. If you are not passionate about anything in life, most likely we cannot get along. Not get along. I'm still going to respect you, but
Right.
we don't have... I don't have much
that
in common
closeness.
with people that are not passionate about things in their lives. Whether if their job is corporate and they're still passionate about that, I respect that. So I, in my 20s, I was involved in this relationship, and he was a creative, and he was in the fashion industry, and I started a business with him because I thought this is his dream. And when you love someone, at least when I love someone, if I do get there with the person, if I get to that level in a relationship, I am going to behave in a selfless way. And how can I help you build your dreams? So I did that for this person, and it didn't turn out that great. I mean, it was an amazing experience, but the relationship fell apart. And when I was going through our photos on social media, and I needed to delete them because I knew that there was no going back. You know, you kind of leave like 2-3 months after the breakup. Not the hope, but more, let's see if it's real.
Yeah.
So around the 3rd month mark, I decided to delete our pictures, and I came across something I had written. I had written a goal sheet, and one of those goals was to publish my book before 30. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. And the Capricorn kicked in, and I was like, wow, I have to do this. I built his dream, so I should build my own. And that is when the journey of me and my books began. It's one thing that I was always constantly writing since I was a child, and I had an attempt at writing 2 other books previous to my first published book. But entering that journey of publishing a book, promoting it, and marketing it, it was a whole different ballgame. But it's one that I think I was good at, and it worked out for me, and I was able to express myself how I always wanted to express myself. I met so many people throughout this journey. I met you like through my books, through my journey, and I believe I was walking in my purpose, because sometimes I questioned my purpose when I was younger, because I felt, is me being on TV my purpose? Me being known or seen? And I always felt, no, that's not my purpose. But I was so confused with the idea of what purpose means. I always felt that purpose was tied to what you do as a career.
Right. Because that's what we're taught.
That's what we're taught, that's your purpose. And I never felt that my purpose was me being known or an actor or anything like that. And then I started understanding, and it was because of the connection I developed with my readers. Every time that I would have a speaking engagement, a reading event, and I would talk to my readers after, or even if it was replying to their messages on social media or their emails, I was connecting with them. And I understood that my purpose was my contribution to the world, my contribution to society. And that was spreading love and hope. And my message throughout my writing, my books, was my purpose. Yeah. And then I really tried to take that on to the other mediums of art that I do. So I want to write scripts, and I'm doing that. And it's what stories am I telling?
You said you were writing scripts, and I remember seeing you were writing a show. Was it about one of your books or one of your poems?
So we're developing a series with my first book, Letters to the Men I Have Loved. And, the idea is I love being Latina. And when I was growing up, I didn't see representation. And it's exciting that, yes, now the industry is changing and there's a lot more representation for Latinas and for just people of color in general. And it's exciting to watch and witness it. So I always understood this is something I want to do. I want to bring stories to life in the television and film space that can inspire the next generation of Latinas.
Do you ever battle with the fact that your writing is so personal, though, and that the world sees it? Or do you detach from it once you've written about it? Because these men could see these poems once they're out. Have you gotten those messages? Like, this one is about me and I know it's about me.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Or how do you deal with, I guess, like, all goes down to
be honest, I think that at first I was somewhat scared. There's always... If you love something, you are going to experience some sort of fear, especially in the very beginning. And I feel that if you lose complete fear, it's a blessing. But at the same time, a little fear...
means you care.
Means you care. Because you don't fear losing things that you don't care for.
1,000%.
So it was tough to just put my life out there at first, But then I started understanding that it's bigger than me. I was not just expressing my voice, but I was giving voices to so many other women.
So you naturally exude confidence, power as a woman. But is there something that you battle with, whether it be mentally, whether it be love, whether it be releasing your art out of the fear, still to this day? And how do you tackle those things and still exude such confidence? Because I think a lot of women that follow you on social media, obviously, social media, you can only see 3% of a person.
Yeah, it's highlights.
Exactly. And the other day, you were so vulnerable to say that you weren't feeling that great. But nobody knows what that exactly means or to what level, right? So what is something that you maybe have not even battle with right now? What is something that you recently overcame as a woman that other people may be able to relate to?
I think that maybe I don't show on social media, perhaps, maybe the lows as much, simply because I have this attitude, and I've been like this since I was a child. I don't throw myself pity parties.
Yeah.
I know that my life is extremely blessed. Like, look at the women in Iran right now.
Right.
They're dying, literally dying out on the street, for freedoms that we take for granted. Right? And so I cannot possibly go on social media and say, I am having, this is what I'm going through, because it's just going to sound extremely first world.
Yeah.
And I, out of respect to the people that are actually going through tough things, I just don't do it.
Yeah.
Because I consider it foolish sometimes, certain things that I watch on social media. It's like, wow, really, you're complaining about this?
Right.
Let me tell you, there's people right now with dirty drinking water. You know what I mean? Like, I am so grateful for my life.
Yeah.
So grateful. So I always try to, highlight the positive, because I wanna be a beam of light and hope in the world. I don't want to be reminding people of what's wrong with the world. I just want to be, a beam of light and hope.
And when you don't
remind people. So I do include painful moments in my books. So I do share that. Yeah. But I feel that I try to be extremely conscious of what's going on in the world and aware.
To bring yourself back.
Yes. So, but one thing that I do battle with, because regardless of knowing how blessed you can be, one thing that I do battle with still is anxiety and my own sense of depression sometimes, because I'm extremely critical and tough on myself. So I have to constantly pull back, and I do believe that you can experience this even being a social person, because a lot of times people think that you only go through this when you're an introvert. No. And I myself, I am very social, and I'm constantly going to events, and when I'm in LA, I fill my calendar with things to do, and I believe that I try to keep my life exciting. And that's part of my way of being grateful to life. But it's important to take time for yourself. So whenever I feel that way, I just sort of pull back and create my safe space of my solitude and reset. Journal and reset, and it's so important.
Yeah, I think for me,
but I still battle with it.
Yeah, I went from being a super social person to kind of being an ambivert.
Yes, I think that's what I am.
Yeah, I switched to that during the pandemic, and I think everybody's changed somehow, some way during the pandemic.
Was amazing.
Yeah, I think if you didn't change somehow in the pandemic, you should look into that, But I think the pandemic really showed us like what is important, what is not. Check in with yourself, be honest with yourself, because that's all we had is ourselves to look at for a while, And I'm very much that type of person that I'll be super social, but I know when my social meter's off and I'm like, I gotta go back and reset, because then I just...
So I have this saying that that if I step out and go to an event or go to a party, I'm going to go out with my best self, because I want to provide great energy wherever I go. If I don't feel 100% well, I just stay home.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to go somewhere and have a long face and just like have people ask me, what's wrong?
Yeah, stay home.
Just stay home.
Yeah. Give yourself grace.
Yes, totally. And I think we have to be more aware of our energy, protecting our energy, and also what energy we're giving off to the world and to people. Because let me tell you, no one deserves to receive negative energy when they are supposed to having, they're going out to have a good time.
Of course.
So if I don't feel well, if you see me out, it's because I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you've done acting, you've published books, you've had so much success with both. You're now working on a little project that you've given snippets here and there of different oils, I guess we can say, that you've been trying out around the world, and ingredients. And all that comes to Mirtha today. What does success mean to you?
Success, in my opinion, is just your own personal level of happiness. You can be, in my opinion, you can be successful having a job that so many people might not consider profitable. And success could also be just being a great parent. It just depends your level of happiness. Like, how do you envision that? Because everyone is different. So for me, I say that I am grateful. I am blessed with that. I live an exciting, amazing life. Are there still things that I want to do? Of course. I don't think that you ever stop dreaming.
Yeah.
If you stop dreaming, that should never happen. I love to see 80-year-olds still talking about what they're going to do next.
Yeah.
That's inspiring for me. And I think it's amazing that you can have different lives in one life.
1,000%.
So right now I am in the phase of my life that it's more behind the scenes creating, and I want to step it up as a businesswoman. I am developing a hair care brand, and one thing that happened to me last week that was really exciting is that I finally got my trademark. I trademarked such a beautiful name. At least I consider it beautiful. I've always had a passion for Greek culture, Greek mythology. I hate saying Greek mythology because this was the most real thing. Why are we calling someone's beliefs mythology? It's like we didn't live it. Those gods could have been real for all we know.
Right.
But I trademarked in the beauty space the word musai, which is plural for muses in Greek. And with my hair care line, the idea and the vision is to make women feel like their own muse.
I love that.
Yeah. So when I was in Morocco, Morocco has amazing argan oil. It's the only place in the world where argan oil can be found and developed. And the first products that I've been developing are based argan oil infused.
Well, I'm so
it was
excited
really
because your
exciting.
hair is amazing.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
you're a great person to start that, and
Thank you.
I can only imagine what it's going to be.
This is another expression of art, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, I think that, like you said, you went from the actress to then finding the courage to release a book. And this is a whole new adventure that you're embarking. And
I'm excited.
In that time, I'm sure you're getting content for your next following books coming up and all the ones that we're going to read.
Yeah.
So it's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, I'm working on my 5th book. I'm never going to stop writing. That's just part of me. I'm working on an exciting script that I'm almost done with, and I think that is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's a comedy, it's like a romantic com that people don't do so much these days, but it's going to be a fun story to tell, and
I'm excited.
And I'm looking forward to just grow and keep growing and keep living.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on this episode. I had a lovely time having you and learning more about you. And for everybody that wants to follow you on social media, it's
at Mirtha Michelle, and it's with an I, Mirtha, because sometimes people think it's Martha, but it's not.
Thank you so much for being on this episode, and until next time, bye.